So this isn't my typical type of video, but I will be getting into why me specifically is making this video in just a second. So musicals, they're obviously a big deal. They're everywhere, like, go to New York, and like, Broadway is obviously a huge thing there. Saw Lion King there, changed my life. And basically like any other kind of medium, these musicals get adapted into films. There are some that are very well received, but some that also aren't. Or some that could be very accurate to the source material in the original stage production, but some that, once again, are not. And something that you might not know about me is that I am a theater kid. When I started high school, I got into the theater scene, and I did a bunch of shows throughout high school, like The Wizard of Oz, Mamma Mia, Elf, The Man Who Came to Dinner, and so many more. And the one we're talking about today, obviously you saw the title, Mamma Mia. Mamma Mia was a very special show to me. It was really fun, and it was just such a fun time. But I'm getting too far ahead of myself. But yeah, I was in a production of Mamma Mia. I wasn't like a main character or anything. I was mainly just ensemble, but that didn't change the fact of how fun it was. I was able to do it with like a bunch of my friends, and just a really fun experience altogether. As I was auditioning for Mamma Mia, I actually had not seen the movie or had listened to a cast recording or had seen the show. Obviously I had listened to ABBA songs, because who hasn't, but that was really my extent of Mamma Mia knowledge. And I did the audition, and then I got a call back, so I was like, okay, maybe I should at least watch the movie. So I watched the movie, and I thought it was pretty good. I really liked it, and I was like, okay, this is probably pretty faithful to the source material, and for the most part, yeah. But then I got the part in the show, and then I spent the next, like, however many months working on this. But that is not to underestimate how big of a deal that the movie was. It basically came out, like, right before the entire idea of, like, how we view blockbusters changed, because this came out in 2008 when Iron Man came out. It's, like, right before the MCU hit it big and superhero movies became, like, the new big thing. And Mamma Mia was a pretty big success that year. It was, like, the 5th highest grossing movie of that year, and to paint a little picture, it came out the same year as I said earlier, Iron Man, and then Kung Fu Panda, Indiana Jones, and The Dark Knight. Heck, it came out the same day as The Dark Knight. That's the original Barbenheimer. Do you think Donna and Batman would be friends? I think they would. Now, once again, why am I making this video? Like any popular movie, there's probably a bunch of video essays here on YouTube about Mamma Mia. And I kind of hesitated on making this video at first, but I want to put a fun spin on this. Since I have been in a production of Mamma Mia, I want to be able to directly compare the stage production and the movie, while also providing a bunch of behind-the-scenes info on, like, how I personally, like, viewed these scenes and, like, how I interpreted them as I was rehearsing and doing these dances and acting everything out. And I'd say this is a pretty unique idea for a video essay on a movie. I mean, if someone else has done this exact same thing with Mamma Mia, I would be shocked. I haven't seen anything like it, but I would honestly really be interested in seeing more videos like this, where people who have this kind of knowledge on what they're talking about because they've, like, actually experienced it. I feel like that would be really cool. So, if you haven't seen Mamma Mia, or haven't seen it in a very long time and aren't very familiar with the plot, I'll briefly run it down for you. Why am I wearing a Donkey Kong shirt? I literally have a Mamma Mia shirt. You know what, I'll make a Donkey Kong Bonanza review and wear my Mamma Mia shirt. Honestly, that'd be fun, yeah. You know what, I'm actually gonna do that. But Mamma Mia is what is referred to as a jukebox musical, and that's basically a musical where the songs aren't original, and they use songs that are, like, from a pre-existing album or artist, and they work those songs into the plot. There will be some, like, lyrical changes, but they will use these iconic songs to tell their story. And the story centers around two main characters, Donna and her daughter Sophie. So it's almost Sophie's wedding, and she's getting married to this guy named Sky. And Sophie grew up having no idea who her dad was. So she finds her mom's diary and finds out that there are 3 possible people who might be her dad. So Sophie invites all 3 of those guys to her wedding, and Donna basically kind of like has to face the past when she like sees all three of them back on this island. Also, am I the only one who thought that the island that this movie takes place on was real? Like, I know Greece is real, but apparently like the specific island it takes place on is fictional. I thought it was real. So now, let's get into the show. So the movie basically opens the exact same way that the stage musical does. So Sophie's going to the mainland singing I Have a Dream with letters to Sam, Bill, and Harry, and she sends them off inviting them to her wedding, and she returns to the mainland, and she's greeted by her best friends that are gonna be her bridesmaids. So she tells them about the diary and how she has 3 possible dads, and we get the first like big opening number of the show, because I Have a Dream wasn't really like a dance or anything. It was just like Sophie kind of just walking, just singing like a very short verse of I Have a Dream. But Honey Honey is like the first big number of the show, and it's alright. I mean, I'm not too big on it. I would have personally chosen a different ABBA song to be the opening number of the show, because this one's kind of forgettable in my opinion. Out of all of the songs in Mamma Mia, this is the one I kind of forget the most, despite it being the opening number, which I feel like your opening should be like one of the most memorable numbers of the show. No One Mourns the Wicked has been stuck in my head for months. And during the sequence, we get the first few changes that the movie version introduces, but I wouldn't necessarily like refer to them as like big changes, because this first change, it's one that I am a little mixed on. It's where like Donna shows up midway through the number, and she like says hi to everyone, and like, as just a way to introduce your main character, it felt a little like half-baked in my opinion, because in the stage show, her big introduction was her singing Money Money, which I feel like is way more of a like effective way to introduce a character like Donna. But it's not the biggest deal. Then the next change is we see Sam, Bill, and Harry like leaving their homes and heading to the airport to fly to Greece to get to the wedding. And this is like more of a change that they made, where this is something that they can do in the medium of filmmaking that they couldn't do on stage, because they just have like one mostly static set on stage where the main centerpiece doesn't change at all, and sometimes there will be things that you move around, like a bed or like a pier or like a watchtower, but like you can't exactly like fully change the location. So having that there, I feel like is a little nice, because we kind of get to see like what Sam, Bill, and Harry's lives were like back before they like came to the island, and I thought that was a little nice change. So then we get a really funny introduction to Tanya and Rosie. So Donna, back in the day, was in this band called Donna and the Dynamos, and the 3 singers in that band were Donna, Tanya, and Rosie. And the way that they like see each other again and like say hi to each other is just so funny. I'll just play the clip.
For one night! And one night only! Donna!
And Tanya and Rosie are some of like the funniest characters in this movie and in the show as well. Like Christine Baranski and Julie Walters bounce off each other so well. Like, their comedic timing is great. Then we get introduced to a few more characters here. In the stage show, this is where we are introduced to Donna, but in the movie, we were already introduced to her back during Honey Honey. And this is where we also meet Sky and some of his friends, like Pepper. And we'll get to him, because there's some weird things that go on with Pepper in the movie. Pepper is kind of a forgettable character, but only in the movie. I feel like he had a lot more of a presence in the stage show compared to the movie. I can't necessarily like tell where, but it feels like his part was kind of cut down a bit in the movie. I could be wrong though, but it just felt a little weird. I don't really know what it is. And this was the first number that I was in the production that I did, and I just kind of stood on a set of stairs. That was that was really it. We learned that like Donna, she's like running this hotel. She's been like kind of like just doing things on her own for most of her life. And that leads us into Money Money, where like Donna basically is saying how she like wants to like turn like this boat into like a casino and just kind of like live life freely and just like not really have a care about money or whatever. And I feel like this should have been the opening of the show. I don't know, I just feel like this is like way more of an effective opener for the show in my opinion, because it like immerses you into the world, kind of like shows you what like your main character is like kind of like has been going through for like the past few years, and it catches you up to speed with like who these characters are, what they're like, and like how they like act with each other. But it's fine. But the number itself is amazing. I love it. And the only real changes are, once again, things they could do through the medium of filmmaking that they couldn't do on stage, like basically showing Donna's inner thoughts, like her like at that casino or like on this boat with like Tanya and Rosie on jet skis, which I thought was really funny. And this is gonna be a running theme with most numbers in the movie, but like there will be a lot of numbers from the show that are very like ensemble heavy, and the ensemble gets heavily involved. But then in the movie, it's really only the main characters who like get the focus and are really the only ones singing. And the ensemble does get a little bit involved in this one, but not as much as they did in the show, which I felt was really weird. Then in the show, the three dads just kind of show up on the island, but with the movie, since they're not restricted to just one set, we can actually see how they got there. Sam and Harry are running late to catch a ferry to the island, and they miss it. They introduce themselves to each other, but they're like, okay, how do we get to the island now? Bill has a boat, and they get introduced to Bill, and he takes them to the island. And something that I thought was really cool is their little dialogue exchange that they have when they got on the island in the show. They kind of like cut it up so that part of it happens while they're on the boat on the way to the island, and then like as they're like getting onto the island. And I thought that was a really cool way to go about it. So they get onto the island and they're about to be like shown to the rooms, and they meet Sophie. And a detail that I really like is that this wasn't really intentional, because this is present in the original show. When like they introduce themselves to Sophie, Harry introduces himself by going, Bright. Harry Bright. Like just like James Bond. And then in the movie, he introduces himself the same way, because like that's how it was in the original. And he's right next to Pierce Brosnan. And he isn't the one who introduces himself like that. This is where we get to our first kind of like weird change. Not exactly our first song that was completely cut, but more or less moved elsewhere in the movie, but also kind of cut at the same time. So, in the show, the three dads are just kind of like out in the open waiting for their rooms to be ready, and Harry finds his guitar, and he starts singing Thank You for the Music, and then Sophie and the rest of the dads start singing with him, and it's just not here in this version. Thank You for the Music is the credits song, and even then, Harry and the dads aren't singing it, it's just Amanda Seyfried as Sophie singing it for the credits. I feel like it's a nice way to kind of like have like Sophie be able to like meet the dads and like get to know them through the song. And there's another song that like they do a similar thing to, where they kind of have this song play through a different context, and it's basically the context of this one, where Sophie gets to know the dads. But in the movie, Sophie's just like, you gotta hide in this goat house for some reason, which, I mean, not that big of a change, but, I mean, it's just one of those changes. It's like, why did you really need to do that? I don't know. Once they get to the room, some of, like, the dialogue that they share is, like, the dialogue that they had, like, during Thank You for the Music in the stage production. So that kind of part of it is preserved in some way. But once again, it's kind of weird how this song is just, like, not here, like, where it should be. But then we have Mamma Mia, which has quite a few changes, not a lot of big ones. It happens under kind of a different context, but also a very similar context. In the show, Donna just like stumbles upon them, and then she freezes time and starts singing Mamma Mia, obviously, and there's like a few dialogue exchanges that she has with the dads during the song, and those dialogue exchanges are here, but they happen after the song, not during it. And then there's an entire verse that they cut from the movie where all of the dads sing after Donna had left. And we'll get to this later, but let's just say that might have been for the best. Also, when the dads sang, the ensemble, like everyone from the ensemble just all came out and joined in, and even then at earlier points the ensemble was involved. And they are kind of in the movie version, but also not as much. For this song, I just had to stand, like, right outside a door and just, like, peek my head out, like, every, like, few seconds. It was weird. I feel like this is gonna be a long video. I've been recording for 20 minutes and I've only covered like 4 songs. So obviously Donna's pretty upset to see these guys, or at least Sam. We don't really know how she feels about how she ended things with Bill, but the way she talks to Harry makes it seem like that those two ended things on good terms, but Sam basically cheated on her. He was engaged and didn't tell Donna, and he went home to get married, so we have a scene where like Tanya and Rosie are just chilling on the island. But it's a completely different scene from the show to the movie. In the show, they're at Donna's house in a bedroom, and like they're flipping a coin to see who gets the air mattress and who doesn't. And they start reminiscing about their time as the Dynamos. Then Donna comes in all upset, and they gotta try and cheer her up. But in the movie, they're at the bar with Pepper. Donna kind of like runs past, and then they go follow her to like see why she's upset. And, like, the specific dialogue that Tanya shares with Pepper in this scene does happen in the show. But once again, just at a completely different point later on. Which is weird, like, why would they add that here? And they even had a set for Donna's house in the movie, so it's just a really odd change. But they still sing Chiquitita, which I love this song. It is a personal favorite ABBA song of mine, and kind of underrated in my opinion. The movie version did feel a bit, like, shorter, though. It felt like a bit cut down. Once again, don't really necessarily, like, I can't really necessarily, like, tell, like, where it was, but it just doesn't really feel the same. So Donna's still feeling a bit down. She tells them that, like, it's about Sophie's dad, how, like, all 3 of the possible people who could be her dad are here right before her wedding. And Tanya and Rosie know just how to cheer her up, and they sing Dancing Queen. This song, I don't even need to tell you how good this is. It is one of the most iconic songs of all time. Just from that piano opening alone, you can tell, like, what this song is. But I really like the way that they use this song in Mamma Mia. In the previous scenes, Donna's kind of, like, resenting the whole time that she was with the Dynamos, and, like, is, like, very upset about the whole thing with the dads. And throughout the song, she starts, like, still upset, not wanting to, like, embrace the, like, whole Donna and the Dynamos thing. But as the song progresses, she gets more, like, energetic and happy, and starts to embrace that side of her again. And I really like how they did that, because, like, this song just is fun. Like, there's no way I can't listen to this song and not smile while listening to it. And the choreography in both versions is just, once again, it just looks fun. Especially in the movie where they're all, like, on the boardwalk dancing and they all jump into the water. Like, you can tell that the people working on this movie had a really fun time doing it. Then we have probably one of the most odd changes in the entire movie. In the movie, this is where we get Our Last Summer. Pretty good song. Except for the fact that in the show, it doesn't happen here. It happens near the end. And some of the things that were from Thank You for the Music are present in this version of Our Last Summer. Like, how Harry, like, finds his guitar and, like, explains, like, how he bought it for Donna, and then Sophie gets to, like, know all the dads. And I like the song. Like, it's probably the song from Mamma Mia that I've listened to the most, at least in terms of, like, the cast soundtrack. When it comes to just ABBA songs in general, probably, like, Dancing Queen or Mamma Mia are the ones I've listened to the most. But I just really like the Mamma Mia version of Our Last Summer, both the show and the movie versions of it. And in the show, right after Dancing Queen, it transitions right in to Lay All Your Love on Me. But now, obviously, we have Our Last Summer in the middle of it. And Lay All Your Love kind of starts a bit differently now, because in the show, Sophie and Sky just kind of, like, meet up and just start talking to each other about, like, the wedding and everything. But in the movie, Sky's, like, actively looking for her, and she, like, gets off the boat and, like, swims to him, but not that big of a change, obviously. So, Lay All Your Love is a very memorable number for me, for one specific reason. Quick changes. So, this song in the movie is mostly the same as it was in the original Broadway show, and the only real difference is when all, like, those guys in the scuba gear come out. that was their only real, like, appearance there. When before they even come out in the scuba gear, they all come out and, like, just kind of, like, mess with Sky and have, like, this whole, like, dialogue exchange with him and Sophie. I was one of those guys, and it was really fun. And we, like, ran on really weird. We had to, like, I don't know, the way we had to run on looked really goofy. After that little dialogue, we had to run off, and then in the span of, like, 30 seconds, take off our shoes, get on the flippers, and then get the goggles on, and then get in line to come right back out on stage to dance with the flippers on. Out of everything I've ever done in theater, that was the worst quick change of my life. It was so stressful. Oh my god. We, like, had to, like, bring the flippers and goggles out, like, beforehand so that we wouldn't have to, like, completely run off the stage and, like, go backstage and get them. We just had them sitting in the wings. Since we had to change so quickly, we had to, like, run off. And our set was kind of, like, elevated, so I kind of jumped to get more momentum to get right to, like, where my flippers were, and one of my friends was standing right in the way, and since I couldn't really scream since we were during the show, I had to, like, signal for them to, like, move. Thankfully, they got out of the way. That would have been bad. But dancing in flippers is shockingly really hard. There was this kick segment where, like, I couldn't get the wrong foot, because, like, I don't know, the flippers messed up my timing with everything. It was still a really fun number, though, but I could have gone without the quick change. Then next would be Super Trooper, another very memorable song. And this is really the first song in the movie that is basically exactly the same as it was on Broadway, because it's just simply all, like, the girls getting together for Sophie's party, and Donna and the Dynamos coming out to sing for Sophie, and it's just a really feel-good moment, like Donna supporting her daughter, and, like, the Dynamos getting back together. I really like it. Also, there will be something to be said about the actors and their singing abilities later, but obviously Meryl Streep is a great singer, but, like, Christine Baranski and Julie Walters are also really good singers, and all three of them killed it with this song. I really like this iteration of Super Trooper. It honestly might be my favorite version of this song, but the one from Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again is also pretty good by Cher. So then next would be Gimme Gimme Gimme, and this also does something that a few songs might do, where the song mostly happens in the background. Because in the movie, it's really just the girls messing with, like, Sam and Harry. As, like, the song is playing in the background, they're not really, like, singing. I mean, they kind of are. The song itself isn't really the focus of the scene. But we still have the bit from this song where, like, the song kind of, like, slows down, and Sam kind of, like, confronts Sophie. He's like, why am I here? Like, why'd you invite me? And there's a bit of new dialogue that they added that wasn't in the original source material that I really liked, where, like, Sophie, like, drew a picture of Sam earlier, and it turns out she's, like, really good at drawing, and, like, Sam is, like, persuading her to, like, pursue drawing as, like, a career, which I thought was pretty cool. It's nice to kind of see, like, what Sophie's interests are and, like, what she gets to do in her free time. But now we finally reached it. Our first fully cut song from the movie. And something that I've kind of realized was that, for the most part, Act 1 went pretty much unchanged, other than our last summer being in a different place. Every other change was just very minimal. And now we've reached Sophie's party, and this is where all the changes kind of, like, start to begin, and we start to see all the weird choices that Universal Studios makes with the movie version of Mamma Mia. So during Gimme Gimme Gimme, Sophie and Bill talk, and Bill talks about his Aunt Sophia, and Sophie says that Sophia helped raise her, and they kind of determined that that was his Aunt Sophia, and that his Aunt Sophia gave Donna money, but he was told that his Aunt Sophia's money went to family. So after Gimme Gimme ends, Bill kind of leaves and Sophie goes to follow him, and they kind of piece together that Bill is probably Sophie's real dad. And this is where we get the name of the game, but not in the movie. This song is just completely gone. And there are a bunch of factors as to why this is a really weird decision. One, they filmed it. You can, like, look it up online. They filmed this scene, they recorded the music, and it is on the soundtrack. Which is weird because Chiquitita from earlier in the film that was actually in the movie isn't on the soundtrack. And it's also a pretty pivotal moment in the show where, like, they realize that Bill is probably the real dad. Now, later on, there's evidence to, like, show that, like, maybe Harry or Sam might be Sophie's real dad. But if you pay attention, it is really obvious that her real dad is Bill. And another little behind-the-scenes fact. So, like, Sophie and Bill have their thing going on during this song, and in the background, like, everyone in the ensemble just kind of had to, like, sit and, like, have, like, a quiet conversation, so we weren't just sitting there doing nothing. And I just had to come up with, like, some, like, ongoing bit to, like, make it look like I was, like, talking to people. And, like, me and one of my friends from the cast, what we did was that we very silently talked about the Pokemon anime and how Ash should have won the Kalos League. That stupid Charizard! That was in 2016. I'm still not over that. Ash should have won the Kalos League. That should be its own video. Ash should have won the Kalos League! I'm sorry about that. Back to Mamma Mia. Then the name of the game directly transitions into Voulez-Vous. And, once again, for the most part, pretty similar. Other than the fact that we didn't have those masks and we couldn't swing around. I feel like that would have been fun, but also really dangerous. And very similar to Gimme Gimme, there are parts of this song in the movie that really just feels like the song's just happening in the background and is not the central focus. And not even, like, during, like, the dialogue segments. It's like when you should be, like, paying attention to the song. The movie kind of doesn't want you to. But obviously, also in this song, Sam is like, holy crap, I might be your dad, and so does Harry. And all three of the dads now think they're gonna give Sophie away tomorrow at her wedding. And I love the way how, like, Colin Firth delivers his lines in this segment, where he's like, I will be there! It's just so goofy. Colin Firth's performance as Harry is very underrated. He is one of my favorite aspects of this movie. So, that's the end of Act 1. As I said earlier, not that many changes in the beginning, but then once we reach Sophie's party, that's where the weird changes start to begin, and that continues right into Act 2, with Under Attack, because, once again, it's not in the movie. And it feels weird to just completely cut the opening of Act 2. And, in my opinion, this song was more memorable than Honey Honey, but probably for the wrong reasons, because the dance I had to do for this was kind of painful, or I was just on my knees the whole time, and that hurt. That hurt. I was like a ghost or something. I don't really know what it was. But, like, the thing was, they had the perfect setup for this song, a setup that wasn't present in the show. So, the whole thing about this song is, like, it's Sophie having a nightmare, and kind of, like, processing everything that's been going on. And at the end of Voulez-Vous in the movie, she passes out, and then the next time we see her, it's her waking up. They didn't have that, like, part where, like, she passes out in the show, and in the movie, after she passes out, it directly fades to black, which could have led directly into that number very well. So, Sophie wakes up in the middle of the night from her nightmare, and Donna comes down to, like, talk to her, see what's wrong, and she thinks that Sophie doesn't want to do the wedding anymore. But Sophie kind of, like, lashes out on her on, like, not, like, knowing who her dad is, and, like, how she, like, wants to know. And, like, this scene is present in the movie, but it's once again under a different context, where instead of Sophie waking up from a nightmare, Sophie just kind of, like, walks up to Donna, and they have that same dialogue exchange. A lot of these changes are just weird. They just make the most minimal changes for no reason. And, like, yeah, it's not the biggest deal, but it's like, why do you need to make those changes? So then Sam shows up, and then we get One of Us, another cut song. This song, Donna's basically, like, talking about, like, how upset she is with Sam and, like, how he hurt her. And Sam doesn't really do much in this number. He's just kind of chilling. He doesn't sing, I think, from my memory. Yeah, he doesn't. The next song has a very similar premise, where it's kind of like Donna and Sam kind of, like, reminiscing about their time together. And if they were just going to choose one of these songs to keep and one of them to cut, they should have kept this one. Because the next one is SOS.
Where are those happy days? They seem so hard to find.
Oh my god. So I have a bit of a theory as to why some of the songs that have been cut were actually cut, or, like, moved around or had the context changed. Because a lot of these songs have to do with the dads and them singing and like having big solos. Thing is, some of these guys can't sing. They just can't. Colin Firth has a pretty good singing voice, and Stellan Skarsgård's is fine. Then there's Pierce Brosnan.
Whatever happened to our love?
Now, I am not saying he is a bad actor at all. He played James Bond. He is a great actor. He is a legend. He can't sing for the life of him. And this song is proof of that. He just kind of like belts everything. Like, it's just him like yelling really the whole time. And it's a big solo for him, which like, if you cut those other songs for similar reasons, why did this stay instead of One of Us? Like, literally, Pierce Brosnan's singing was so bad, I turned off the movie and started watching a cast recording of one of the, like, original shows. Like, Pierce Brosnan, never sing again! Sorry, I got a little carried away there. Then we go into another very memorable number, Does Your Mother Know? Where Pepper's basically hitting on Tanya, and Tanya's like, I'm old enough to be your mother, and basically kind of like telling Pepper, like, nothing's gonna happen between us. Now in the show, Tanya and Pepper have this like whole dialogue exchange before the song starts, and half of it isn't present in this part of the movie. You know how I said earlier how that one scene before Chiquitita was replaced? They took that first half of Tanya and Pepper's dialogue and moved it all the way back over there. And once again, I just have to ask why. I guess to like more effectively set up this number for like when we get to this point in the movie, but you didn't really need to do that. Now when I watch the movie, that scene earlier before Chiquitita just feels out of place because I know it's supposed to be somewhere entirely different. And another bit of dialogue between Bill and Rosie is just later on after the number, which is weird. Also, they did add a scene right before this number that wasn't present in the original, where, like, Harry and Bill are kind of, like, talking. They're talking about how they think they're Sophie's dad, but without, like, saying it, and, like, they think they're talking about completely different things, and I thought it's a nice little addition. Now, this is not to, like, undermine Does Your Mother Know at all. This is a great song in the movie, and it's Tanya's big solo, and pretty big number, very catchy song, but the movie focuses on Tanya a lot. There is a lot more ensemble focus in this compared to the rest of the movie, but the ensemble was basically present the entire time in the stage version compared to this movie, where the main focus is Tanya for about half of it, and then the other half is like when the ensemble kind of gets in on the fun. Also, there is a little bit cut from this song, just a little instrumental where all of the guys and like Pepper's friends come out and do this little dance together, but that's not present here. We had to like do all these like jumps and stuff, and I did the Mario jump. This song was pretty difficult because like the dance was like really complicated with like the footwork and everything, but still really fun to do. Then back to back, we have two very big changes. So Sophie like confesses to Sky that she like invited her dads to the wedding, and Sky gets upset, and like the question of like if they should get married is like brought up, and Sam comes along and like talks about how he was married and got divorced, and like how marriage like doesn't always end up well. And this is where we get Knowing Me, Knowing You, a really fun song. Other than that one time during Gimme Gimme, Sam and Sophie didn't really have that much time one-on-one together, so it's really nice to have this here because it's really just them the whole time. And the ensemble from Does Your Mother Know is in the background the entire time. And we had this really funny bit going where we had to do like those like silent conversations again. There were a couple things we did like with Pepper, and like he was just rejected by Tanya, and like me and all the other guys were like, it's okay, dude, it's okay. And another thing that we did was like, probably the one I did the most was like, I would be talking with Pepper, and I would just explain to him the entire lore of the entire Super Mario Brothers franchise. I'd go like all the way from like Yoshi's Island to like Super Mario Odyssey and Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I don't know why I did that. Like, Mario lore isn't that big of a deal. I really was like, okay, so like at the end of Mario 2, it's revealed that it was a dream the whole time. Now, if you've only seen the movie, I'm pretty sure you're like, what the hell is this dude talking about? Because it's not in the movie. So Sam is one of the big players in this number, so I can see why they cut it.
It used to be so nice.
God, every time I think about SOS, it just makes me want to just... Ugh. Also, something that's really weird is that they keep the dialogue that goes right into this song and the dialogue that goes right out of the song. Like, once again, it just feels very out of place, because, like, as someone who was in a production of the show, I can tell, like, when the song is gonna begin and, like, when it's gonna stop in it. And, like, I'm expecting them to start singing, but they just don't. So, in the movie, this is where we get the little dialogue between Bill and Rosie that was before Does Your Mother Know, but now it's afterwards. Now, if it wasn't for this one thing that we're going to talk about next, I would say this would be a reasonable change, I guess, because if the song that this would go into would still be there, it would have made sense. So, in both versions, Harry goes to, like, give this check to Donna because he wants to contribute to the wedding because he thinks that Sophie is his daughter. And this is where Our Last Summer was supposed to be. This is where it happens in the show. And once again, completely different context. In the movie, it's like Sophie getting to know the dads, like how Thank You for the Music was supposed to be. But here in the show, it makes way more sense, and I like this context for the song way better. It's like more of a duet between Harry and Donna as they reminisce about their time together. It's just very, like, it makes you feel good. It's just a very wholesome number. And, like, seeing those two happy just makes you happy. And once again, they have the dialogue that sets up that number and goes right into it, and they have the dialogue that happens right after that number, which again feels really weird, because if you're going to cut the number, why keep the things that set it up? But here's the thing. Ben Grimm. Okay, but really, here's the thing. I think that in the movie, it was supposed to happen the same way it did in the Broadway show. Now, I could be wrong about this, but when I listen to the movie soundtrack of Our Last Summer, I swear, during the last few seconds of the song, I can hear Donna.
Our last summer, memories that remain.
I can't be the only one who hears it. Like, maybe they intended to, like, have it be the same way as it was in the show, and they, like, recorded stuff with Meryl Streep, but then they decided to change it when they, for some reason, removed Thank You for the Music. It just makes it feel even more like of a strange decision. Like, now it's time to get ready for the wedding, and Donna's gonna help Sophie get ready, and then we get Slipping Through My Fingers. I totally didn't cry during our last show when we did this song. I didn't cry. I totally didn't cry. What are you talking about? I didn't cry. And just like Super Trooper, the stage version and the movie version of this are basically the same. Like, Donna, like, thinking about, like, raising Sophie and, like, how Sophie's growing up and, like, them just spending time together as they're getting ready. This song just makes you feel emotional. Like, Meryl Streep, just like, oh my god, she's great. Like, I mean, I know I don't gotta say it, but Meryl Streep is just great at this. And Meryl Streep continuing to be the best there is, the winner takes it all. Also, something I gotta say, almost every time Sam shows up, it's always at the most inappropriate times. He just, like, interjects at the most random times when it's, like, most inconvenient for people. Like, Sophie and Sky having this big argument, and, like, Sky storms off, and then Sam just walks up, is everything okay? Or then, like, in the stage show, during One of Us, Donna and Sophie have this big fight, and, like, Sophie storms off, and then Sam just kind of, like, walks up and just, like, sits right next to Donna, is just, like, sitting there and, like, not saying anything. And, like, now, like, with the wedding, they're getting ready, like, Sophie's getting married in a few minutes, but now, like, Sam just shows up and he's like, Donna, we gotta talk, we have to! And it's like, dude, read the room! Meryl Streep just kills it. I know I keep saying how much Meryl Streep is great in this movie, but, like, she just is. Also, this specific number in the movie is shot, like, really well. Like, there were a bunch of points where I'm like, oh my god, that just looked really good. Then we go to the wedding. Or do we? Because in the show, this is where Take a Chance happens. And Rosie is setting up for the wedding, and Bill, he, like, comes in, like, confused because he thought he was gonna give Sophie away. Now he's not. But, like, the song... But, like, once again, this is in the movie, just at a very later point. Which is weird why they keep doing this. Because I feel like the placement here is way better. Compared to, like, Our Last Summer, where, like, I could understand why they moved it, but this one just feels, like, really odd. So yeah, now the wedding begins, and in the movie, they just play like wedding music as like Sophie like walks down the aisle. But like in the show, we kind of like had a little bit of Dancing Queen in there, but not a big change at all. So like the wedding's going on, and Donna like finds out that like Sophie invited all the dads, and the dads are like, okay, so we might be Sophie's dad, and everyone's fine with that. Sophie's fine with it too, because like they're all great guys, just makes the family bigger. And then we find out that like Sam wanted to like get back with Donna like after like they split up, because like he went back to the island and like told like his wife that like he didn't want to get married, but Donna was off with one of the other dads, so he had to go home and get married. But he's divorced now, and now Sophie and Sky don't want to get married because they determine that like it's not the right thing to do right now, but they still like are gonna stay together, but they're just gonna go and explore the world. So now with Sophie and Sky not getting married, they just have this like wedding going on with like no one getting married. So Sam proposes to Donna, saying that they should get married right there. So we get the song I Do, I Do, I Do. And Pierce Brosnan is singing again! Damn it! And yeah, Pierce Brosnan singing. Not good! So yeah, they get married, and this is where the show ends. We get a little bit of I Have a Dream again, the finale numbers, that's it. The movie just keeps going. We get a little party scene at the end, and we have a song that wasn't in the original show, that was added to the movie. And that is When All Is Said and Done. Guess what? Pierce Brosnan's singing again! I can't escape it. I'm done. I can't. I never want to hear him sing again. I don't. So then this is where Take a Chance happens in the movie. And it mostly happens under the same context where like Rosie's wanting to like get with Bill. But there's some added things here. I actually kind of like these new additions. So one of them is Harry singing a bit with Nigel. Now if you don't know, Nigel is like the guy that Harry likes. I don't think he was named in the movie, but he is named in the show. But yeah, they dance together, it's all nice and cute, and then they have a little bit with Pepper and Tanya, but wasn't too big on that addition, but yeah. Now, instead of going into I Have a Dream, then doing the finale numbers, we get one of the finale numbers, then not the finale, go back to I Have a Dream, then do the rest of the finale numbers. So the first finale number is Mamma Mia again. In the show, it's just the entire ensemble and cast, everyone, just dancing and singing this song, but in the movie, it's just everyone just running around like a fountain as the instrumental plays in the background and no one's singing and has a really weird slow motion effect. Then we go into the last bit of I Have a Dream where Sophie and Sky just go away on a boat to just go explore the world. Then we get the last two finale numbers, Dancing Queen once again, and then Waterloo. In the show, once again, just mainly the ensemble with these ones, and then like the main cast joins in later on. With Dancing Queen, it's just the Dynamos, just those three. But Waterloo also has like the dads, Sophie and Sky, and I like these numbers, but all the finale numbers aren't in the soundtrack, which I found a little odd. But I also really like how these songs acted as like the main credits. That was really cool. So that's Mamma Mia the movie compared to the show. I don't really know how I feel about it. When I first saw the movie, I really liked it. I thought it was like really charming, but then I did the show, then rewatched the movie, and just every little like change stood out to me, and just like a bunch of the changes just weren't necessary. Like completely like cutting songs or moving songs and completely like changing their context or like moving around certain scenes and dialogues. It just is all really odd. And it's even more weird when you look at something like Wicked, where it's just like very faithful adaptation of the Broadway show. Nothing's really cut, nothing's really like substantially changed. It's really just like a movie version of the show. And once again, even more odd because this was made by the same studio that did the Mamma Mia movie. So like, what the heck? Now, before we finish, there are a few more things about the movie that I want to talk about. The sets. I want to live on that island. I don't know if they like shot on location or if they like built those sets, but they look beautiful. I saw like another review of Mamma Mia where like they said like it really makes you want to live in this world, and you really do. You just want to live there. The sets of this movie just add so much life and like character to this movie. And then I talked a little bit about the cinematography during Winner Takes It All, and The cinematography is pretty good in this movie. Outside of Winner Takes It All, there aren't really much shots that, like, wow me or anything. But there's sometimes where, like, the colors can look a bit saturated, but it's not the biggest deal. And then the movie cast, this is something I gotta talk about. You know how I feel about Pierce Brosnan. I also really like Stellan Skarsgård as Bill. He might have been, like, the best, like, casting character-wise, because he kind of, like, encapsulated that, like, living out of a backpack, adventurer, like, type of guy that Bill is really well. And a lot of his deliveries in this movie are really good. Like, I feel like that Bill would talk the way he does in this movie. Probably the most underrated performance in this movie, in my opinion, is Colin Firth as Harry. He might be, other than Meryl Streep, the best character in this movie. He's completely got down, like, the goofy side of Harry, and he's really great with his line deliveries, and he just, like, anytime he's on screen, he's just having fun. Which is, like, what Mamma Mia should be, just having a bunch of fun with your friends. Then we have Dominic Cooper as Sky. Now, this might just be me as a nerd, but anytime he was on screen, I was like, oh my god, Howard Stark, is that you? But he gives a pretty good performance in this movie. Nothing really, like, stands out about his performance, in my opinion, but he still does really good, and has a pretty good singing voice compared to the rest of the guys in this movie. Then, like, Pepper, this could just be, like, the direction that his actor was given, but a lot of his lines make me feel really uncomfortable. I don't know, like, what it is, but, like, just something about the way Pepper delivers his lines just doesn't feel right in this movie. There are some lines where, like, it doesn't make me feel as uncomfortable, but yeah, it just feels a bit weird. He actually had a pretty good singing voice, though. Then Christine Baranski and Julie Walters as Tanya and Rosie. They're the life of this film. Anytime they're on screen, you know it's gonna be a good time. They, as I said earlier, they bounce off each other really well. They're like some of the funniest characters in this movie, and they were casted really well, because not only were they, like, funny, they're also really good actors, and they are really great singers, which you need to be a good singer if you're gonna be one of the dynamos in Mamma Mia, so yeah. Then Amanda Seyfried as Sophie. I really liked her performance here. The only thing I'd seen her in, like, prior to this was, like, Mean Girls, but, like, she was really good in this movie. Her singing voice is amazing. In this movie, she just has this, like, youthful charm to her. Like, she just seems, like, so hopeful most of the time, and just is always, like, full of energy, and just gives on a really good performance. Then Meryl Streep, the one, the only. Oh my god. There are actors who, like, they have a bunch of iconic roles, but there will always be that one role where you'll feel like they were just born to play that role. And for me, that's Meryl Streep as Donna. Like, Meryl Streep just is Donna. I can't imagine this movie with anyone other than Meryl Streep playing Donna. Like, she is that good. And again, I don't really need to explain how great of an actor Meryl Streep is. You most likely know this. But I just still need to put my thoughts out there to give, like, a full, like, proper review of this film. I'm really glad I got to do this video. Mamma Mia probably means more to me than most people because, like, of, like, my connection to it. Obviously, there's been a bunch of people who have, like, been in productions of Mamma Mia. My experience to me was very special, and I'm sure everyone who's been in a production of Mamma Mia has had that same kind of, like, special experience, but when I say, like, Mamma Mia is just fun and, like, you really want to live in that world, I mean it. Because I did kind of get to live in that world every day, getting to go to the set and, like, be on stage and dancing and acting out these, like, numbers and scenes. And being able to do this with, like, some of my best friends in the world and being able to make new friends and, like, with our really great director. It was just really special to me. That cast really felt like a family, and the crew as well. The crew were the best. Me doing that show was genuinely, like, the happiest time of my entire life. Like, I don't think I'll ever experience something as special as that again. And it is a little sad, but, like, I'm just happy because it happened. Mamma Mia has, like, brought joy to audiences and people everywhere. But, like, being able to, like, fully experience that and be a part of something as big as this was just amazing. I didn't mean for this ending to get super emotional. I almost cried a bit there, but I did this video, like, unscripted, so that's kind of, like, why I kind of, like, went on like that. This show and this movie just means so much to me, and I know I kind of like had a lot of critiques about the movie in this video, it's still a great movie. The only reasons I made those critiques was because of the source material and how it wasn't like it that way originally. But on its own, Mamma Mia the movie is still a really great movie. One of my favorites, in fact. Like, it's probably in my top 100 films of all time. I love it to death. I would say that there would never be another movie like this, but there is. They're doing a third one, in fact. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope I get to do something like this again sometime, and I'll see you guys later. The Dragon Ball video, the final Dragon Ball video is coming soon, I promise!